I don't understand what was so fascinating about the Titanic that would make someone want to go 12,000 feet underwater to literally see debris. There are so many other things you can do. I mean, there are documentaries on the Titanic, there's movies on the Titanic. Why are you navigating a submarine with a game controller? It wasn't a PlayStation controller, it wasn't an Xbox controller, it wasn't a Nintendo Switch controller, it was a Logitech controller. It was a third party controller that probably cost about $15-$20 on Amazon. Literally, if I, and again, I would never ever be in this situation, but if I was and I looked in that submarine and I saw one of these in there, oh, I would have walked out. I would have walked out. I would have walked straight. I'm like, I can't take you serious. How do you take somebody serious? Hey everyone, it's Bree. Welcome back to my channel. I'm back in the video, and I am here to talk about this submarine mess that's been going on for the past week. Y'all, when I tell you, there's not a whole lot of things that grab my attention. There's not a whole lot of stories that really pull me in. But when I tell you, I have been following the submarine fiasco from the moment it started. I have been tuned in to every tweet, every TikTok, every post, every update. I have been following this story so intently because I am just like, how in the world did this happen? Now, for those of y'all who may not know, and I'm not going to get into every itty bitty detail because I just, like, I know what's going on from a surface level, but also I feel like y'all are getting the impression that my channel is a news channel, like I'm reporting on news, and I more so do commentary. Like I commentate, I give my opinion on the news. I'm not a reporter, I'm not a journalist. And so I wanna make that clear in case I, say something wrong or I get a detail wrong. Please understand that I am not a journalist. But no, I wanted to get into this. So for those of y'all who don't know, there were these 5 individuals that decided to take a submarine. And I've been told that it wasn't like a full-fledged submarine, but just for the sake of this video, I'm just call it a submarine. They went in the submarine to go down into the water, into the ocean, to, I guess, explore the remains of the Titanic. Now, the Titanic and its remains, it is deep in the ocean, okay? A lot of people were wondering, why anybody would even risk going down that far deep into the ocean to see not even the actual Titanic ship. Like, you're just seeing debris, you're seeing remains. And the people who decided to go on this expedition, it was 5 people, one of them being the literal CEO of the company, and then I think some of the other people were like millionaires and billionaires, and then there was a 19-year-old that had went with his father. And so here's what I want to say first and foremost is definitely sending my condolences to the people that lost their lives as well as their families. I know there was a lot of, back and forth on social media about whether or not to feel bad for these people. Listen, I'm not going to tell you what to do or how to feel, especially when it comes to people that, we don't know, right? Like, we don't know these people in real life. But for me, they're still human. I know that they are rich. I know that this was poor decision making, and you could make the argument that because they had so much money to waste that they just found themselves in a really dumb predicament based off of that. But ultimately, regardless of how much money they made, they're still human beings. And I can't sit here and not feel any type of sorrow for them being in this predicament, regardless of what the intent was. I think it's just really sad because I just can't imagine. Well, that's the thing, right? It's like you say, like, oh, I can't imagine being in that situation, but I think for most of us, none of us would be in that situation, and I think that that is true. It was definitely a situation that they voluntarily put themselves in, but it's still sad nonetheless. And I can't sit up here and be like, oh, they got what they deserve and, you know, good riddance. Like I just don't roll like that. I don't care who it is or, you know what. Like I just, you know, I was really saddened to hear this, and I was really really hoping for a miracle. I'm not gonna lie, even though it seemed off rip that they were doomed. They were saying how even if they found the submarine, that they wouldn't have been able to get them out in time. Their, you know, their oxygen was running low. They were stuck in there from, you know, because it was bolted from the outside. Everything was pointing to they were not gonna make it. But until we got that confirmation, I was still praying that they were going to get out of the situation, because, again, it's a horrible way to go. And so I kind of want to get into just the situation in its entirety, how messed up this whole thing just seemed from the beginning. Let's start with the CEO. The CEO has been on some mess for a while. The CEO has been on some mess for a while. They are now pulling up old clips and old footage of just him just not taking things seriously, him trying to cut corners, and him just not really caring about the overall safety of, you know, being in this type of, you know, submarine and just these expeditions in general. I literally just saw a clip today of a failed expedition that they've went on before, and, you know, it's just crazy how, you know, they've attempted this multiple times, and every single time they tried, it failed. And so you would think that they would like slow down or say, hey, maybe this is not worth it, maybe we shouldn't go about this. And listen, I know, like, there's a certain community of people out there who they do enjoy going on expeditions. They do enjoy exploring and pushing the limits, and, you know, they're the type to go deep into a rainforest or, you know, wherever. Like, they want to explore the world, and they want to explore parts of the world that other people don't typically go to. I understand that there is a subgroup of people out there who are like that. However, I don't think any and everything needs to be explored. And when it comes to the Titanic specifically, I don't understand what was so fascinating about the Titanic that would make someone want to go 12,000 feet underwater to literally see debris and to not even see it clearly. Like, you're seeing it, or they were presumably going to see it through cameras. Like, it wasn't even gonna be like a super clear image. And so I just don't understand why they even felt like it made sense to go down there. Like, it's just, I don't know. Like, I just would not, like, even if everything was up to code, I just would not feel comfortable being that deep underwater. And it's just like, again, I don't understand the fascination with the Titanic as some people have. But even if you are that interested in it, there are so many other things you can do. I mean, there are documentaries on the Titanic. There's movies on the Titanic. There are museums that contain, you know, information about what happened with the Titanic. Like, there's so many safer alternatives to learning more about the Titanic and what happened, as opposed to putting yourself, you know, right next to the debris, thinking you're gonna find something like great and amazing. Like, I don't know. And it's like, I get being an adrenaline junkie. I get, you know, wanting to push the limits and, you know, have these once in a lifetime opportunities. But there are just some things that you're just not going to be able to experience because it's just not safe to. But yeah, everything from the beginning just seemed very, very sketchy. Again, the CEO not really taking safety into consideration. I believe there was a clip going around too of him saying something in regards to safety doesn't lead to innovation or something like that. I probably butchered it, but he was basically alluding to the fact that, like, he felt like it was worth cutting corners and not having things up to code if it meant that he could explore. Basically, I guess he felt like he was being held back from trying to make it super safe. I'm not entirely sure. Like, again, this CEO, he just was not, like, he should not have been in charge of any of this. Something like going underwater and doing stuff like this. Like, you have to have someone in charge that cares about their own life, but also cares about the lives of the people that are getting into these things and also risking their lives with him. And what's crazy is that apparently they had like a safety department person and they fired him. And the person that they fired said that he told them how unsafe this submarine was. And they literally fired him. And again, this is just another reminder that when you're doing anything that's going to put yourself at risk, you got to do your research. You have to do your research. Literally, after this unfortunate incident has occurred, people are pulling up all kinds of receipts about how shady the CEO was, about how unsafe some of the practices were with this company. Like, there's literally so much information out there that these 5 people could have looked into prior to going on this trip. And even getting into the submarine, because the submarine itself wasn't safe either. Come to find out that the submarine was made of carbon fiber instead of steel, and they hadn't quite tested it enough yet to see how many trips it could actually take. I believe that with that particular submarine that was made of the carbon fiber that they were in, I believe that was only their like 3rd or 4th trip in that submarine, and they had no way of knowing if the material was going to hold. And so that's even sad to think too, that had the material of the actual submarine, had it been steel instead of carbon fiber, they might have still been alive and everything might have went well. Like, that's why you can't cut corners when it comes to something like this. And then this is the part where I was like, there's no way this story can be real. There's no way that it can be real. When I found out that the submarine was being controlled by one of these, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. Like, y'all. Who, like, that's how you had to know this man was not right in the head. Because why are you navigating a submarine with a game controller? Mind you, it wasn't even a game controller that people use a whole lot. Like, it wasn't a PlayStation controller, it wasn't an Xbox controller, it wasn't a Nintendo Switch controller, it was a Logitech controller. It was a third party controller that probably cost about $15-$20 on Amazon. Literally, I would never ever be in this situation, but if I was and I looked in that submarine and I saw one of these in there, I would have walked out. I would have walked straight. I'm like, I can't take you serious. How do you take somebody serious that is navigating a submarine with a game controller? Like, literally hearing that, you're just like, oh, you can't even make this stuff up. Like, this, it sounds crazy. It's so ridiculous. This whole expedition was ridiculous. And then another thing too that I read is that, apparently, normally with these expeditions that OceanGate has, they usually have some type of communication system where, the people up top can communicate to them directly throughout their entire trip. The CEO requested that they turn off any means of communication because he was tired of them, like, talking too much, or he felt like they were a distraction to him and they were tired of them, like, interrupting him during it. Like, it was something like that. And so they also had no way to get into contact with the people above because he requested that the communication get turned off. It's so sketchy all around, and I really do wonder what those people were thinking. And what's crazy is that they had paperwork. They literally had paperwork that they had to sign that explained all of this to them, explained the risks. I believe it was said that the paperwork had death as a risk listed multiple times on the paperwork, and they still signed it. And so I don't know. Like I said, I know there's people out there that like to push the limits like that, but I just, like, that's just no. And like I said, right, most of us wouldn't do this, even if we had and that's the other thing too. They paid $250,000 to get on this thing. Not the company paid them $250 to get on there. They paid the company $250,000 to basically lose their lives in the ocean. I know they probably didn't intend on that happening, but it's just, again, I just wouldn't want to even invest my money into something that dangerous. Like, you're like, if, again, I'm seeing a game controller and y'all are cutting corners and it's looking kind of sloppy. Like, I just would not want to spend my money, that much money, on something that doesn't even look like it'll hold up. Like, it's ridiculous. Even if that submarine was only going like 2 feet under the surface, I still wouldn't trust it. Like, it just doesn't look safe. And then to be locked in there from the outside, I just, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, two things can be true at the same time. Yes, this was dumb. This was very dumb. This was very stupid. This was horrible. Their judgment, their decision making skills were awful. All of the red flags were there. Even throughout the paperwork, the red flags were there. This was a very bad decision. Yes, you could argue that because they are millionaires and billionaires, they got bored. They decided to push the limits because they just wanted to try something new and decided to put their lives at risk to do so. But at the same time, these are still human beings. They're still human beings. And so, because I do feel like a lot of times when people make, a lot of money, people tend to dehumanize them and, like, oh well, like, but it's just, but like I would, again, I wouldn't be in this situation, but I would hate to be in a situation where, I was at risk of losing my life and then people just didn't care because I made a ton of money. It's kind of the same way with celebrities too. Like, people tend to dehumanize celebrities all the time. People think celebrities aren't human. They aren't allowed to be sad. They aren't allowed to complain about anything because they have money. Okay, sorry, y'all. My recording stopped while I was talking. I low-key forgot what I was saying. But yeah, at the end of the day, right, like, they're human beings. Oh, that's what I was saying, like, celebrities and all that. Like, people tend to dehumanize you based off of how, well you're doing in life. And like I said, at the end of the day, like, just, I think what people lack a lot nowadays is being able to empathize and put yourself into someone else's shoes. Now, like I said, most of us will never ever be in this situation. But if you still take some time to empathize and think about if you were in that situation, it's just tragic. Like, imagine the literal fear, right? Imagine the fear of realizing like what's happening. It has been said too that, the submarine more than likely imploded the same day that it, went to go down there. It's reported that, and nothing's confirmed, right? Because again, all this happened underwater, so we really don't know for sure. But it is being said that once they lost communication, which I believe was 2 hours, only 2 hours after they had went down there, they had lost communication, and it's being said that they more than likely imploded when they were down there. Which again, it's just so sad. It's a horrible way to go out. I know people are saying like, like, a lot of people are saying that they mostly feel bad for the 19-year-old who went with his father. But I feel bad for everybody. I honestly feel bad for everybody. Like, I don't think you're making a dumb decision should lead to you losing your life. It can, and you should be aware of that before you make these decisions. But ultimately, it's just overall really, really sad. And this CEO, I don't know, like, his lack of like care for safety protocols. It was just, I don't know. I mean, he might just be one of those type of people that is just willing to, be risky in order to, get a certain result or whatever. But I don't know. I mean, some people said that there was no way that he could have thought that they were going to make it. People are saying that maybe he intended on them not making it. I've seen a lot of conspiracy theories, but I don't even think a lot of that even matters at this point. But yeah, it's so sad. It's really, really sad that this happened to them. But yeah, I just wanted to make a quick little video talking about it because I had a lot to say, and it's just crazy. But yeah, please let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about this whole story, what your thoughts were. Did you think they were gonna make it? Let me know all your thoughts on this story in the comments down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. Oh, and also comment down below if there's any other topics you guys want me to cover on the channel. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel as well, and I will see you guys in the next video.